deadlift. Now, this is a really important one, especially for, honestly, for women and anybody that's over the age of 40 years old that might be starting to deal with certain pain like low back pain, because we're told very often that deadlifts are dangerous. But the reality is that we're deadlifting all day long. So we really need to put the deadlift into some kind of practice. It doesn't have to be that you're doing a maximal lift deadlift. You don't have to go heavy, but you do have to understand the hinge movement so that when you're moving throughout your day, you're safely lifting things up. In fact, a lot of my clients that have gotten hurt, it doesn't happen in the gym. It happens when they go and lift something up just in their normal daily life. And then the low back pain starts to happen, sometimes even bigger injuries. So I'm going to give you guys 3 things today. 2 are drills to help you understand what the deadlift should look like and feel like. And maybe you're just doing the drills for now when you're incorporating it into your workout. Or if you feel comfortable after trying the drills to do the deadlift, I highly recommend you incorporate them into your workouts. And I'll even put some general rep schemes and sets, a way to apply the deadlift into your workout in the comments as I post this. So the main thing is, how do we deadlift? This is one of the best ways to teach the deadlift, is to actually start on your back. So even if you don't do this with me, you're going to understand why it's going to help. Now, if you think about the deadlift, it's really 2 components. It's hinging at your hip and then bending at your knee. What we're going to do is practice the hinge by laying on the floor and simply extending our legs. Slightly bend your legs and feel your low back flush against the ground. If you have an object, it helps even more to hold on to an object like a broomstick, PVC pipe, or any kind of pole, or even a band. And what you're gonna do with your arms is lock in those arms right across from your shoulders and get a feeling like you're breaking that stick with your pinkies. So I'm driving my pinkies hard into that object and I'm ripping it apart. What that does, it sets the arms. Very important for your low back. Now, big breath in, brace the midsection by holding that air in your belly. Slightly exhale as you drop one leg. Inhale, hold that air as you bring it back up. Slightly exhale, keeping some air in the belly as you do the other side. So this is your drill. What you are experiencing is a couple things. Tension in the midsection. You're also experiencing a lot of a stretch down the back of the leg. That is the same feeling you should feel in the deadlift. Last thing is you're ripping this object apart in your arms, which creates a lot of tension through your lats, allowing your shoulders to pack. So this could be your version of the deadlift, simply doing 10 reps or so of this movement. If you feel your back popping up, you might not have that strength yet, so bend the knees and do the same thing, extending one leg and then the other. All right? This has helped people successfully understand the feeling of the deadlift, but then when they go to apply it, it still doesn't compute. So what I have them do next is hold that same stick, again, it could be a broom like I have here, and hold it behind their back, touching the stick to their tailbone, upper back, and their head, so all 3 points. Now my hands are secured at my neck and low back, but you can have them further apart like this. Just make sure that stick is making contact with all 3 points. Now to understand the motion, feet are hip width apart, toes straight ahead. You're going to slightly bend your knees and you're going to hinge at your hips, meaning I only bend at my hips, not my knees any extra. Okay, so you'll see my knees actually stay just slightly bent the whole time. And when I hit that point of tension down the back of my legs, I check in again. Am I touching the stick to all 3 points? My tailbone, my upper spine, and my head. If I am, when I'm hitting that point of tension, then that's the end of the hinge. All right, so doing just a few reps of these, and then maybe just for the shoulders to get a little bit of symmetry, you switch those, will allow you to practice the first portion of the deadlift. So this feels a lot like drill number 1. I feel my core under tension because I'm keeping my ribs packed, braced, and I also feel that stretch down the back of my legs. So the stick is just giving me feedback, making sure I'm not rounding at my back. So if I do it wrong, it'll look like this. It pops up off the tailbone. And if you did that under load without a lot of experience with lifting things with a rounded back, you're going to hurt your back. The main reason we hurt our backs is because we're actually moving our back while we're under load. So keeping it stiff is the important part. So now you guys can see the main components: packing the arms and getting tension through the lats and grip, keeping the abs braced like you're ready for a punch, and finding the tension down the back of the legs. The final part is to bend the knees. So here's my weight. Mine is maybe taller than some of the dumbbells you all will use, but it is in between my feet, directly between, not in front of me. That's very important. So get that center of gravity directly over the base of the weight. Now go through your steps. Slightly bend your knees, hinge at your hips. So pretend like you still have that broomstick touching all 3 points of your back. Notice I'm not rounding my back. And then the last part is just bending at the knee. So you've done the same hinge and now you're adding that knee bend just enough to secure the hands on the weight with a very strong grip. And then you'll come up out of it. When you first learn, you'll want to go into pieces like this: hinge and bend. From there, drive up, lock out. Slightly bend the knees, hinge and bend. Drive up. That's how you perform the deadlift. All right, notice where my arms are. They are never coming away from my ribs. I'm always squeezing my triceps against my rib cage, okay? That will help you keep your upper back from rounding. And again, keeping the stress away from the low back. Last thing, if you are unable to get into the deadlift because of tight hamstrings, which happens all the time, using an elevated surface like a book, yoga block, or even a bumper plate to go underneath your weight will allow you to reduce the range. So then you can go just as low as you need or as you can without compensating, right? So if you have tight hamstrings, you'll want to elevate the weight so that you reduce the range of motion. So now you have all the tools. You have 2 drills to incorporate into, maybe that's how you practice your hinge in your workout, or it could be your warm-up to make sure that you understand the way the body needs to feel, and then incorporating the deadlift into the workout. Again, because you know you're picking things up off the ground all day long, so it's really good to rehearse that movement and start to lift a little bit more weight as you go. The benefits are massive. It's an amazing core strength exercise, and then hamstrings and glutes are the main movers. So absolutely try that out. I'll put some recommendations in the comments if you're ready to incorporate it as far as how many reps and sets to start off with. You guys have an amazing weekend, and let me know if there's another movement you would want me to go over next week.